Hello everybody, my name is Eric D. Johnson, also known BrightShine. I live right here in the city of Memphis, in the county ship, in the state of Tennessee. Today and date is early Monday morning, August the 27th, 2018, 5:23 a.m. First, say thank you to all my fans and my support for your continued encouragement and support. I'll continue to keep myself employed right here in this Memphis tri-state area. I'll continue to further my education at Monroe College online. I'm pursuing my associate degree studying business administration with a concentration in marketing. At this present time, I'm taking a break from going to school, but in the very near future, I will be going back to Monroe College online. I'm going to continue to pursue my associate degree in business administration with a concentration in marketing. What I'm going to do right now, do my Instagram. Hello everybody, my name is Eric D. Johnson, also known BrightShine. I live right here in the city of Memphis, in the county ship, in the state of Tennessee. Today and date is early Monday morning, August the 27th, 2018. The time 5:25 a.m. First, say thank you to all my fans, my support for your continued encouragement and support. Anti-gang. Now these are just a few of the free logo design websites that you can go to make anti-gang logos. First, I want to always give thanks to God for all the blessings and the guidance that He provides us all with. Now, I'm going to continue to complain and speak out. Now, people saying they are gang plus stir, mob plus stir. People saying they are boss, they are goon, they are thug. People saying they are crook, a hooligan, a Mac player, pimp whore, whatever. It's all street slang. It's all street slang. You know, people all over the earth communicate, use language. When I be on my job, my place of employment, people say all that ignorant nonsense. People say all that ignorant sorority fraternity. It's a guarantee. It will be anti-gang demonstration, anti-gang protest. It's a guarantee. First of all, I'm going to stand up for my human rights. That's a guarantee. So you can sit around and think it's a joke or, but it's serious. It's serious. It will be anti-gang demonstration, anti-gang protest. First of all, I'm going to stand up for my human rights. This is the International Bill of Human Rights. This is the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women. This is the Declaration of the Rights of the Child. This is the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child. And this is the world's oldest human rights organization, Anti-Slavery International. And this is the International Federation for Human Rights. And this is the world's oldest international conservation organization, BirdLife International. And this is Fauna and Flora International, was the world's first international wildlife conservation organization. And this is the world's oldest global environmental organization, International Union for Conservation of Nature, and also the World Wildlife Fund. Now, those organizations, but there are other organizations, for example, Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch, Greenpeace, the World Wildlife Society, for example, and there are other organizations that be involved in human rights and environmental conservation, wildlife conservation, nature conservation. And a lot of these businesses, companies, corporations, they don't respect human rights. They're not trying to conserve nature. They're not trying to conserve wildlife. They're not trying to conserve the environment. They're the ones who are polluting the water, the air, the ground. They are the ones who are violating human rights. And they'll start organizations. You know, I've been saying this, and it's a fact. It's a fact. It's not just something that I'm saying. It's a fact that these companies, corporations, businesses all over the earth, they'll start organizations themselves, and they'll fund these organizations, and then these organizations will be like a human rights organization or some type of environmental, nature or wildlife conservation organization, but the people who are funding it are the same corporations, businesses, no companies that are violating human rights and trying to pollute the water, air, and the ground. Do a background check. Do a background check. Do a background check. And these are just a few of the websites you can go to. These are free logo design websites to make anti-gang logos. And sorority and fraternity. It will be anti-gang demonstration, anti-gang protest. It's a guarantee. First of all, I'm going to stand up for my human rights. It's a guarantee. Now what I'm going to do now, I'm going to do my Facebook Live video. Hello everybody, my name is Eric D. Johnson, also known BrightShine. I live right here in the city of Memphis. It's in the county series in the state of Tennessee. Day. It's early Monday morning, August the 27th, 2018. The time 5:39 a.m. First, I thank all my family, my support, for your continued encouragement and support. Anti-gang. And these are just a few other free logo design websites that you can go to make anti-gang logos. Now, remember these words: coercion, coerce, sexual coercion, psychological coercion, psychological manipulation, psychological abuse. Now, today's video, I did my Periscope video yesterday, and I always record my, as well as YouTube video, of course, in correspondence with my Periscope video. And today, I'm doing my Facebook Live video, and I'm also recording my YouTube video as well. Now, I know today, I won't spend as much time as I want to, because I won't have as much time as I would, but I'm always continue to make my videos regardless, because this is important to me, first of all. Now, I'm going to continue to complain, continue to speak out. People saying they're a gang pluster, mob pluster. People saying they're a boss, they're a goon, they're a thug. People saying they're a crook, they're a hoodlum, and people saying they're a Mac, they're a player, and people saying they're a pimp, they're all that. It's all street slang. None of that, it's just street slang. That's all it is. People all over the earth communicate, use language. Now, when I be at work, doing my job, my place of employment, people say all that ignorant nonsense. Sorority, fraternity, it's a guarantee. It will be anti-gang demonstration, anti-gang protest. First of all, I'm going to stand up for my human rights. It's a guarantee. It will be anti-gang demonstration, anti-gang protest. Now, let's see. Now, nations all over the earth, including the United States of America, they enact laws that are intended to make each and every one of us safe from crime. Now, one of the laws the United States government passed is the Organized Crime Control Act of 1970. Title 9 of the Organized Crime Control Act of 1970 is the Racketeer Influence and Corrupt Organization Act. The RICO Act is anti-gang. And also the Comprehensive Drug Abuse Prevention and Control Act of 1970, the Controlled Substance Act, the Psychotropic Substances Act, the Continuing Criminal Enterprise Statute, the Kingpin Statute. It's all anti-gang. Now, the Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention Act of 1974 established the Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention, as well as other related legislation. It's anti-gang. The Comprehensive Anti-Gang Initiative Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention, and the Comprehensive Gang Model Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention, the Bureau of Justice Assistance Office of Justice Program, and the United States Department of Justice. The Office of Justice Program, the Bureau of Justice Assistance, the United States Department of Justice Comprehensive Anti-Gang Initiative, and Project Safe Neighborhoods. The United States Department of Justice Office of Community-Oriented Policing Service Comprehensive Anti-Gang Initiative. The Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention. The United States Department of Justice Office of Justice Program. The Bureau of Justice Assistance. International Narcotics and Law Enforcement Affairs. The United States Department of State. The Institute for Intergovernmental Affairs. Gang Resistance Education and Training. The GREAT Program. Sure. The United States Department of Justice Office of Justice Program, the Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention. In October 2009, the National Youth Gang Center, which had been funded by the Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention since 1995, merged with the National Gang Center, which had been funded by the Bureau of Justice Assistance since 2003. The National Gang Center, compilation of state laws against gangs, gang prevention overview research program, Mr. Jackson, the Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention, the United States Department of Justice, Bureau of Justice Assistance, Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention, National Gang Center Bulletin. And the title of that bulletin, History of Street Gangs in the United States. Read the books in the bulletin. And also Wikipedia. You can find the same information on Wikipedia, and the title of the information is Gangs in the United States. The United States Department of Justice, Office of the United States Attorney General, 1457 Criminal Street Gang Statute, 18 United States Code 521. The United States Department of Justice, Federal Bureau of Investigation, National Gang Intelligence Center. The United States Department of Justice, Organized Crime and Gang Section, and other federal, state, and local agencies. The United States Department of Justice, Office of Justice Program, National Institute of Justice, Anti-Gang Strategies, Prevention, Intervention, Assessment, and Suppression. The United States Department of Justice, Office of Justice Program, National Institute of Justice, United States Department of Health and Human Services Center for Disease Control and Prevention, National Center for Injury Prevention and Control, Changing Course, Preventing Gang Membership, and also striving to reduce youth violence everywhere. The United States Department of Justice, United States Department of Education, United States Department of Health and Human Services, United States Department of Housing and Urban Development, United States Department of Labor, and the White House Office of National Drug Control Policy, National Forum on Youth Violence Prevention Forum. Now you can go to youth.gov and you can be informed about the National Forum on Youth Violence Prevention. as well as the Comprehensive Anti-Gang Initiative and the Comprehensive Gang Model. The United States Department of Justice, the Bureau of Justice Assist, National Crime Prevention Council, keeping kids out of gangs. And also anti-hazing. You can go to lawyers.com, be informed about anti-hazing. And this is the International Bill of Human Rights. This is the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women. This is the Declaration of the Rights of the Child. This is the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child. This is the world's oldest human rights organization, Anti-Slavery International. This is the International Federation for Human Rights. This is the world's oldest international conservation organization, BirdLife International. This is Fauna and Flora International, was the world's first international wildlife conservation organization. This is the world's oldest global environmental organization, International Union. The International Union for Conservation of Nature, and also the World Wildlife Fund. Now, we just those organizations, but there are other organizations such as Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch, Peace Corps. Greenpeace. I meant Greenpeace, but World Wildlife Society, for example. And these companies, businesses, corporations, they'll start an organization themselves because they don't have no intent of respecting human rights. They don't have no intention of conserving nature, conserving wildlife, conserving the environment. They are polluting the water, the air, and the ground. They are violating human rights. And they'll start organizations themselves, and they'll fund these organizations, and they'll continue to do what they've been doing all the time, violating human rights, polluting the water, the air, and the ground. So do a background check. Do a background check. Do a background check. Now, what I'm gonna do today, we're gonna do a review. We're gonna continue to expose Saul. First of all, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. We're gonna expose Saul. It's just that important. It's not even something that, a person gotta bring up and we gotta go have a conference. And Saul was lying. He's a lying murderer. Nobody needs to be listening to anything that he say. They got all them lies, them junk that he wrote, all them epistles in the Bible. It don't belong there. So 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, we're going to expose Saul. We're going to expose Saul, as well as when you read the Bible, starting in the Old Testament, and then you come to the New Testament. There's some criminal street organization activity in the Old Testament as well as the New Testament. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days out of a year, going to expose this criminal street organization. Now, like I said, today we're going to review Now, when we talk about this criminal street organization, when we talk about Saul from Tarsus, the self-proclaimed Apostle Paul, and all these man-made religious organizations, we've been going to Wikipedia, which is a quick reference, and we've been, reading about the Roman Catholic Church and all their particular churches. And the Protestant Reformation movement, the Protestant Reformation movement, and all the major branches, minor branches, all of the Protestants, the 95 Theses. And when it comes to that Roman Catholic Church, we continue to talk about this, the name Catholic Church, which is serious, and we know that Catholic means is Greek. And where the Catholic Church came from, and the phrase Catholic Church, and this Saint Ignatius of Antioch that we've been talking about, a criminal. He's a criminal, and he wrote a letter. Now, when you look up the Catholic Church, it says he wrote that letter around 110 AD. When you look up Saint Ignatius of Antioch, they say around 17 AD. Well, we know he wrote a letter in between that period of time, 17 and 110 AD. And he wrote a letter to the Smyrnaeans. And in his letter, he wrote the phrase Catholic Church. He wanted to distinguish the church that he was talking about, that he was a part of, from the other churches that call themselves the church. Now, we know when you say the church, you read the New Testament, Jesus Christ, in Matthew chapter 16, verses 13 through 19. Jesus Christ established the church. Jesus Christ established the church. And also in Matthew chapter 18, verses 15 through 20, Jesus Christ, two or more gather in my name, I'm in the midst. There'll be any type of differences of take it to the church. So Jesus Christ established the church. Jesus Christ established the church. You don't have to go and start no church and call it the Catholic Church. See, that's that criminal street organization. That's the criminal street organization. they be reading what Saul wrote in those epistles. And we've been talking about Romans chapter 16 verse 16 and 1 Thessalonians chapter 4. Romans, what it saying? Romans is saying the church is with the suffix es of Christ salute you. In First Thessalonians, it said the church is with the suffix es, churches of God. We know who wrote that. It was Saul from Tarsus, the self-proclaimed Apostle Paul. He wrote that nonsense, those lies. They all lies. The Apostle Peter, in 2 Peter chapter 3, verses 15, 16, 17, and 18, exposes Saul from Tarsus, the self-proclaimed Apostle Paul, for being a liar. All those epistles that he wrote, first of all, when he claimed that he was an apostle, he was lying then. Every one of those epistles that he wrote, he called himself, he's a self-proclaimed apostle, called himself an apostle. He lying. He lying. You don't listen to Saul. He lying. And so when it comes to these man-made religious organizations and this Saint Ignatius of Antioch and the letter that he wrote, the Catholic Church is not right. It's a man-made religious organization. It's a lie. And this Saint Ignatius, I think he was eaten by lions. He was thrown into the Colosseum. The Romans. And from what I read in Wikipedia, he was eaten by lions. So anyway, but Saul, see, this is another thing about Saul writing these epistles. See, he lied to people. See, this is what we was talking about going around lying. Instead of people being able to hear the truth. Saul wrote these epistles, and instead of people listening to the apostles and listening to the elders of the church in Jerusalem, he called himself going to write these epistles, and then people circulate those epistles. And instead of hearing the truth, you're hearing nothing but a bunch of lies. See, that's what that criminal street organization do. They lie to people. They lie. And see, and so like I said, we're going to review today. And the man-made religious organization, the Catholic Church, the Protestant Reformation movement, and all the churches and all the particular churches of the Catholic Church, the American Restoration movement. See, it's all man-made religious organization. That's all it is. You're not doing anything that Jesus Christ told you to do. You listening to Saul. That's who you listening to. You listening to Saul from Tarsus, the self-proclaimed Apostle Paul. Now, the man-made religious organization, they use Romans chapter 16, verse 16. Salute one another with the holy kiss, the church, with the suffix es, churches of Christ salute you. And this is 2 Thessalonians chapter 1 verse 4. So that we ourselves glory in you in the church with the suffix es, churches of God, for your patience and faith and all your persecution and tribulation that ye endure. Now, while we continue to talk about the church that Jesus Christ established in Matthew chapter 16, verses 13, 19, also Matthew chapter 18, verses 15 through 20. We know that Jesus Christ himself said, disciples. Now, disciple is singular, meaning one. And disciples is plural, meaning more than one. In the four Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Now, also in the book of Acts, the Acts of the Apostles. Disciple is singular, meaning one. Disciples is plural, meaning more than one. And also, we continue to talk about, Jesus Christ was crucified in 33 AD. We'll just say 33 AD, rounding on up. And Saint Ignatius of Antioch, who was eaten by lions at the Roman Colosseum, around 110 AD, the one who wrote the letter to the Smyrnaeans, and in his letter, he wrote the phrase Catholic Church. So like I said, so in between Jesus Christ, after Jesus Christ was crucified and this letter, the church was in existence. The church in Jerusalem, that we've been reading about it in the book of Acts, it was in existence. It was in existence. So there was no excuse for this person to be writing no letter and then be telling people about no Catholic Church. He lying. He a criminal. He's one of those criminal street organization members. Because when you look up the history on his life, they tell you what day he was born. I'm talking about that. They know exactly he was born on this day. But when it comes to information about his life, nobody really can tell you nothing about his life. He's one of those criminal street organizations. That's what they is. Now, and also while we talk about this criminal street organization, we go to the Old Testament, the New Testament, And when you read the Old Testament, the majority of, when they start talking about the children of Israel, now we know that's Jacob, Isaac's son. And God changed his name from Jacob to Israel. And changed his name from Jacob to Israel. And Jacob was Isaac's son. And Isaac was Abraham's son. And Abraham, his name was changed. His name was Abram, and then his name was changed by God to Abraham. But Abraham also had another son who was older, the oldest, Ishmael, by Hagar. And then after Ishmael and Isaac, that when Sarah, Abraham's wife, died, Abraham took another wife, Keturah. And Abraham had sons. He had sons, children, by Keturah. Now Isaac had, he married Rebecca, and they had Isaac and Esau. And Isaac, they had Isaac, and then Isaac, they had Jacob and Esau and Jacob. They were twins. And so see that this is the importance about the criminal street organization. When you go back to these people at the very beginning, it was just them. It was just this small group of people. Then Jacob, whose name was changed by God to Israel, he had like 12 sons. Rachel, Leah, and all the women, all the mothers of the children, the handmaids, and all that. So he ended up with 12 children, and then he had grandkids and all this. But see, the thing about it, when you read about the criminal street organization could have possibly already been in existence, and it's not being identified as, because we're talking about the children of Israel. And but it took a period of time, because the children of Israel, as you read about Joseph, and then Joseph being sent to being sold into slavery by his brothers, and the story of Joseph and the children of Israel. They lived in Egypt. Then another king came who didn't know who all these people were. Then they was enslaved, and they were in bondage for a period of time, long period of time. And so excuse me. So when it comes to this period, it was nobody saying that it was a Jew or the Jews. It was the children of Israel. And when it comes to saying Jew and Jews, Jew is singular and Jews plural. Ezra, the book of Ezra, Nehemiah, we know Nehemiah. There are places where you see Jew and Jew, but it took a period of time. And see, when you start seeing this, see, God been talking to the children of Israel, the 10 Commandments, and all these sons, they took wives and had children. So when it comes to the criminal street organization, see, the people would listen to God, and on many occasions the people were disobedient. God had to punish the children of Israel. So see, this is what God tell you about that criminal street organization not listening to God. The children of Israel being disobedient, God didn't accept, didn't approve, and didn't allow. He didn't allow. See, it took a period of time. And see, this one also you seeing about in the Old Testament about the children of Israel is about the intermarriage. See, that's what a lot of this Jew and Jews start becoming That's when you start see later on. That's when you start hearing Jew and Jews. God had already forbidden the intermarriage. See, God had already told them not to take wives from all these different people, because see, you'll start following their gods and start listening to these people. And see, that was the children of Israel. And see, that's when we started talking about the criminal street organization, not just the children of Israel, but some of these other people. See, those other people that God told you about. God told you, say, look, don't take no wives from these people. Because see, when they start talking about God, see, these people say God, and they not worshiping God. And see, that's what we talking about, the criminal street organization, the children of Israel. God forbid. He had forbidden, don't take these wives. Don't marry, don't intermarry with these people. But being disobedient. So like I said, when it comes to Jew and Jews, that's when you start hearing about Jew and Jews. You know, the book of Ezra, Nehemiah, and King. But we know in the Old Testament, that's when you start seeing, is when after the children of Israel left Egypt. When the children of Israel left Egypt, because they were still, God was still saying to these people, the children of Israel. God never said nothing about that. When you read the Old Testament, you see Jew and Jews. God never said, call the children of Israel Jew or Jews. He never said that. He never said it. But we know, we starting to see, we notice that when you start seeing Jew and Jews, this is when you see the children of Israel with all this intermarriage and being amongst other, all this fighting, you know, all these wars that David and the Philistines fighting with the Philistines and all these different people, see. And God was telling the children of Israel to kill these people. To go take the land of Israel and kill the people, and you know, get rid of the people that would kill them, the land of Canaan and all this. But see, this is what God was telling the children of Israel, that He was going to give them this land, and about these other people. God said, kill these people. And that's what God told. That's what God told the children, go and kill these people. Because, and so that's what God didn't accept, He didn't approve of, He didn't allow. And the same thing about this intermarriage thing. God had forbidden the children of Israel to intermarry with these groups of people. He said, look, don't marry, don't take wives from these people. And so now we know that we've been reading from the book of Acts chapter 1, and we know that in the book of Acts chapter 1 we've been reading about the apostles. They had chose 2 men who had been with Jesus from the baptism of John all the way to the resurrection. The lot fell upon Matthias, and he was chosen to be the 12th apostle. There are only 12. All the little girls and little boys on the earth, the church, there are only 12 apostles. Only 12. Judas was one of the 12 apostles who had been chosen by Jesus Christ. He fell by transgression. Matthias replaced Judas. There are only 12. Judas did not make the 13th apostle. This is the reason why we continue to expose Saul from Tarsus, the self-proclaimed apostle Paul, for lying. He lied. There's no 13 apostles. There are only 12 apostles. Only 12. And see, also, when you read the Bible, the New Testament, what did Jesus say? There was something that Jesus said about His 12 apostles being in heaven. That they going to be in heaven with Jesus. And he said only 12. See, these are things that you have to point out to little girls and little boys. Not to forget what Jesus said about his 12 apostles being in heaven with him. Nobody said anything about the Apostle Paul being no apostle. See, this is what you keep leaving out. See, these are things that Jesus Christ said about his apostles. When they pass away, they're going to be in heaven with him. Only the 12. That's what Jesus Christ said out of his own mouth. He said about his 12 apostles that he chose, including Matthias, that they were going to be in heaven with him. Yes, they did. Jesus said that. See, this is what you all see. This is the reason why you have to point out to you have to teach little girls and little boys, don't listen to Saul. Don't listen to Saul. He's lying. He is not no apostle. And also, now you know we've been reading in Acts chapter 6. That's when it started, all this persecution. Well, we know that the church was growing. That's when the church was growing and multiplying. We remember in Acts chapter 2, like we went over yesterday, about 3,000 souls added in one day. And every day from that point on, it was people being added to the church. The church was growing. And then in Acts chapter, that's when Acts chapter 6, that's when Stephen was falsely accused. They brought false witness against Stephen. In Acts chapter 7, Stephen gives his defense. And then in Acts chapter 7, he was stoned. At the end of Acts chapter 7, this is when we start hearing about Saul from Tarsus, the self-proclaimed Apostle Paul. He consented to the death of Stephen. And in Acts chapter 8, verses 1 through 4, the church in Jerusalem being persecuted by Saul and all those who were friends with Saul. And like we pointed out yesterday, that there was a lot of people had been added to the church. So we guesstimate about 10,000 people. We just guesstimate. But that's a lot of people. That's a lot of people. Men, women, and the children. The children, little boys, little girls, being persecuted. And what do it mean to be persecuted? Killed. You're being murdered, being killed by another group of people. Being murdered, being killed. Men, women, and children. Little boys, little girls, being killed and murdered by Saul from Tarsus. He's a lying murderer. So that's Acts chapter 8, and then we turn over to Acts chapter 9. The title of Acts chapter 9, Saul converted. Nobody has to argue with anybody about Saul being converted by Jesus Christ, the Son of God. He was converted. Now, after he was converted, we got the before he was converted. The after he was converted. See, this is what we point out to people. It's after he was converted. He started preaching boldly in Damascus. He was converted in Acts chapter 9. And he started preaching boldly. He started in Damascus, Syria. And then he went to Jerusalem. And he was preaching boldly. He met the disciples. They didn't believe he was a disciple. He met the apostles. And then he was arguing with people. You know, the Jews wanted to kill him in Damascus. Then he was in Jerusalem. He was arguing with the Grecians. So the brothers sent him to Caesarea. And from Caesarea, they sent him to Tarsus. This was after he was converted. Now, this was after he was converted. He was sent to Tarsus from Caesarea. Now, he's from Tarsus. Now, while he was over in Tarsus, there's no church. There's no disciple. There's no disciples in Tarsus. This was after he was converted. And so all those people wanted to defend Saul from Tarsus, self-proclaimed Apostle Paul. When he went to Tarsus, there's no church in Tarsus. The church supposed to grow, supposed to multiply. You don't see no church in Tarsus. But the person that was converted by Jesus Christ, Saul from Tarsus, the self-proclaimed Apostle Paul, he in Tarsus. And so he in Tarsus. But the church is not growing in Tarsus. You got a person who was sent from Caesarea to Tarsus, who was converted by Jesus Christ. He was added to the church. He was baptized. He was added to the church. And the church grew by his addition to the church. But when he got sent from Caesarea to Tarsus, the church did not grow. The church did not multiply. There was no church in Tarsus after Saul was converted. Now, Acts chapter 11. We know Barnabas was sent to Antioch. And the church in Jerusalem and they sent Barnabas to Antioch. Now verse 23, Acts chapter 11 verse 23, who when he came and had seen the grace of God was glad and exhorted them all that were purpose of heart they would cleave unto the Lord. He already in Antioch, so you don't hear nobody saying nothing about being no Christian. Nobody saying anything about being no Christian. But Barnabas is in Antioch, so Barnabas, now that he's in Antioch, now you know Barnabas, as it says in the word, he was a good man and full of Holy Ghost and of faith. And much people was added unto the Lord. See, that's the difference between Barnabas and Saul. Much people were added to the church because of this man, because of Barnabas. But you got a man over there in Tarsus who was sent to Tarsus from Caesarea after he was converted by Jesus Christ. And you don't see nobody being added to the church. There is no church in Tarsus because Saul is a lying murderer. Now, Barnabas in Acts chapter 25, he departed Antioch. Now we know that there's a distance. Antioch is in Syria, in Tarsus, in Cilicia, that's in Turkey. He had to travel by ship. Now we know there's a mathematical formula. I don't have the mathematical formula to to figure out the time and distance and so on and so forth. So it gets me about a month during that period of time during the first century to travel by ship in that distance. It's about a good month. It'll take you about a good month or more to travel from Antioch to Tarsus. And then the thing about it too is that when Barnabas, the church haven't been hearing from Saul. Haven't even been hearing from him. He ain't been keeping in contact. There's no church. So when Barnabas leave Antioch, and then when he gets to Tarsus, there's no church to receive Barnabas. There's no meet and greet. You understand? I mean, this man came from Jerusalem. He was sent by the apostles and the elders in the church, and there's nobody to receive you. Saul is a lying murderer. He's a lying murderer. And then we also after Barnabas get to Tarsus, he got to find him. He got to find Saul. We don't know how long that took. But when he found him, as it says in verse 26, for all those people who wanted to defend Saul, it starts to what it says in verse 26. And when he found him, he brought him unto Antioch. You don't need to defend Saul. You don't need to defend Saul. Don't defend him. Don't defend him. When Barnabas found Saul, and it came to pass that a whole year they assembled themselves with the church and taught much people. Now, Saul was over there in Tarsus. He wasn't teaching nobody. But then he comes over to Antioch with Barnabas. Now he want to teach the people. See, this is where that Christian stuff came from. It came from Saul. Then we know in Acts chapter 15 there was a meeting about the circumcision and things of that nature. And we know that Acts chapter 15 verse number 2, that was the start of the end of that Christian stuff. And certain other of them. Acts chapter 15 verse 22, that was the end of it. That was the end of that Christian stuff. And so Saul be lying when he tells about his conversion. Now we know Acts chapter 22, the title, Acts chapter 22, Paul tells about his conversion. He lied. Acts chapter 22, verse number 9, being specific, when he tells about those men who was traveling with him. We know in Acts chapter 9, verse number 7, it tells that the men who was traveling with Saul, they heard the voice of Jesus Christ. Saul over there in Acts chapter 22, verse number 9, he tells that the men did not hear the voice of Jesus Christ. He was lying. And also Acts chapter 26. The title of Acts chapter 26, Paul recounts his conversion. He lied again. Being specific, verses 13, 14, and 15. He lied again. He just be lying. And we also know in Acts chapter 26, verse 28, the second place in the Bible that you find this word Christian. It was Saul. He lied. King Agrippa almost persuaded Bishop. It's a lie. The third place in the Bible that you find this word Christian, 1 Peter chapter 4, verse 16. Yet if any man suffer as a Christian, let him not be ashamed. We know that's that criminal street organization. That what the Apostle Peter was telling you is wrong. You go behind the Apostle Peter back and telling people to say they are Christian. In Acts chapter 15, they had already put it to rest. That was the end of that. See, that was the end of it. You, as a matter of fact, you done went behind Jesus Christ, the Son of God, back. See, people, it's wrong. It's wrong. And again, at 2 Peter chapter 3, verses 15, 16, 17, 18, the Apostle Peter exposes Saul from Tarsus. See, this is how you know it's a lie. It's when the Apostle Peter got to say something about it. You know, you the only person being exposed because you the only person writing epistles. Everybody else is listening to the apostles and the elders and the church in Jerusalem. You the only person walking around. Go start writing epistles. And in your epistle, you're going to call yourself an apostle. You don't listen to him. You don't listen to Saul. He's a lying murderer. So, like I said, we're going to review today. And now, but we're going to continue to expose Saul 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days out of the year. All little girls, little boys, all over the earth. The church is going to expose Saul from Tarsus, the self-proclaimed Apostle Paul. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. He's a lying murderer. And also this criminal street organization that we continue to read about in the Old Testament as well as in the New Testament. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days out of the year will be exposed. Now, we're going to continue to talk about African traditional religion. And African traditional religion is being taught at colleges and universities in sub-Saharan Africa. You can earn a bachelor's degree, master's degree, PhD studying African traditional religion. Now, one of the books we're going to continue to read refer West African traditional religion, written by Dr. Joseph Omese Walelu, Dr. P. Adelumo Topemo. Another book we're going to read refer to it titled African Traditional Religion Definition, written by Dr. Ibaloja Adowu. Another book we're going to read and refer to is titled African Religion and Philosophy, written by Dr. John S.M.B. Another book we're going to continue to read and refer to is titled Concepts of God in Africa, written by Dr. John S.M.B. Now, example schools that teach African traditional religion in sub-Saharan Africa. Dr. Joseph Omose Walelu, PhD, Aberdeen, Senior Lecturer, African Traditional Religion, Department of Religious Studies, University of Aberdeen, Nigeria, and Dr. P. Adelumo Topemo, PhD, Aberdeen, Department of Religious Studies, University of Nigeria. Dr. E. Belojai Dobu, Professor of Religious Studies in the University of Ibadan, Nigeria. And also, Dr. John S.M.B. was born in Kenya, and he studied at Makerere University College in Uganda. And also, as a reminder, on my next video, I'm going to make sure I have the scriptures where Jesus Christ talked about his 12 apostles and being in heaven. See, it's only 12 apostles. Saul from Tarsus is a self-proclaimed apostle. He's a self-proclaimed apostle. He's a liar. He's a murderer. Now we know that the prefixes and suffixes and root words, they are in Webster's Third New International Dictionary as well as Oxford English Dictionary. Now, Webster's Third New International Dictionary, the complete and total definition of meaning of the word gang, the act, manner, or means of going. And this is mobile. This is mob. This is sister. You know that stupid sorority, that stupid fraternity. This is sister. This is brother. Oxford English Dictionary, the complete and total definition meaning of the word gang, action or mode of going, way, passing, instead of things or persons. This is mobile and mob. The stupid sorority and stupid fraternity. Now these are the free logo design website that you can go to make anti-gang logos. And so we get ready to end today's video. Again, my name is Eric D. Johnson, also known BrightShine. Live right here in the city of Memphis, in the county, in the state of Tennessee. Thank all my fans, my support for your continued encouragement, support, and we're gonna continue to expose Saul from Tarsus, the self-proclaimed Apostle Paul, the church that Jesus Christ established. Matthew chapter 16 verses 13 through 19. Also Matthew chapter 18 verses 15 through 20. Going to continue to expose Saul from Tarsus, self-proclaimed Apostle Paul, for being a liar and a murderer. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Especially all the little girls and little boys. They're going to hear the truth. He's a liar and a murderer. And also this criminal street organization stuff that we're reading about in the Old Testament as well as in the New Testament. And 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days out of the year, we're going to expose the criminal street organization. And like I said, we're going to get the scriptures when Jesus Christ himself said about his 12 apostles being in heaven. Because Saul's a liar. He is not no apostle. He's a liar. And Jesus Christ said about his 12 apostles. And we're going to the United Nations. And the Catholic Church, Roman Catholic Church, all the particular church, the Protestant Reformation, all the Protestant Reformation, all the major, minor, all the Protestants. Reformation churches, the American Restoration Movement, all of the American Restoration. We going to the United Nations, the church, the disciples, criminal charges, criminal and civil charges. Around the world, we're going to make it official. We're going to the United Nations.